Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. Still on the subject in this essay, on the subject of the assassination of Charlie Kirk in the United States. How is it possible for some ordinary kid from the ordinary burbs with an ordinary family, none of the raw material that you'd suggest would be necessary to create someone who's willing to go as far as assassinating a public figure or murdering anybody for that matter? What moves somebody to go from an apolitical situation, nothing noteworthy as far as we know, thus far at least, no major dramas or nothing to see here in terms of, again, the necessary inputs, raw material and baseline launching pad starting point for someone who would be inclined to, where you could say, I can see that. They've got a radicalized leftist family. They've got, their hair's dyed blue. They're covered in tattoos, body piercing, and they're angry about the world. Angry politics is discussed at the dinner table, and and so on and so forth. You'd say, okay, well, there's quite a lot of raw material. They're on all this, the Antifa social media accounts. They're placard waving in the street and screaming. They've already beaten up a few people, and they've already got a bit of a police record. So that sort of thing. So if it was that sort of stuff that was Tyler Robinson, who's by the way only 22 years old, if that background was being described, then you would say, okay, well, there's quite a lead up here to him, or to anyone in such a situation. There's quite a lead up here to committing this. You can see, okay, well, that murder or that assassination is somewhat a natural, organic extension of the path they were on, and it was almost like a next step in the sort of things they were doing, and the ramping up of their hysterical attitudes to some sort of political situation. Now, more's to come out on Tyler Robinson. I'm sure more information will be coming out. But again, how do we get our heads around some ordinary kid, ordinary burbs, ordinary family upbringing, nothing exceptional to see here? How does it go from that to committing political assassination? Now someone's been revved up and ginned up and radicalized to such an extent that they see killing Charlie Kirk is somehow they're performing a public service, some sort of public good. I mean, Charlie Kirk, in their cognizance, and the cognizance of many, I don't know about this guy per se, but in the cognizance of many people like Charlie Kirk, well, utopia is just over there. You can see it. Look, there's utopia, and these people, the Charlie Kirks or President Trump, they're stopping utopia, and so if we kill them or get rid of them, then we will have utopia. So who wants to get in the way of utopia? Who wants to stop a utopia from happening? What is this utopia? Well, it's mass migration. It's gay, lesbian. It's feminist radicals. It's that's utopia. Anything that does not involve straight white men being in charge is utopia. Now, that's simplistic, utter nonsense, of course, but that's sort of really an approximation of the debate as it currently is, or that it's currently been the narrative that's being foisted upon us. But coming back again to the radicalization process, how do you get from such an apolitical, ordinary sort of existence and upbringing into committing murder like that? Now, the chances of not getting caught are very slim. The chances of spending the rest of your life in prison, or even the death penalty at this case, is very much a reality. Are these people even thinking that far ahead? And again, this appears to be a young man who hasn't had or hasn't been subject to the type of radicalizations, mass tattoos, body piercing, that sort of thing. I mean, is he doing gender studies at college or something? Or where is the radicalization coming from? And how did it get to such an extent where this ordinary kid with the ordinary background thinks that assassination is, yeah, you know what, I'll just go and shoot that guy. It's a massive leap. Now, I know, well, I've come across, just people I know, like I'm in my 60s now, but people I know where they've got the college kids, and maybe they've just left college, they're still in college, senior high school, and some of them are pretty radical, and the girls tend to be more radical than the boys, but or more radicalized than the boys, and just looking at the girl. This is the girls in this instance, or young women they are now. But they no human being is illegal. So we must have mass migration because it's proof of our social virtue. To not have it is proof that we're all Nazis. Now, just a few questions. You say, okay, that guy was, Trump. He's Hitler. Okay, well, who is Hitler? Like he was this sort of really bad guy, and they talk in the the Valley Girls speak, and it's hard. He was this really bad guy, and he did really bad things. The rising terminal, and so they don't know who Hitler is. Well, what was it? Oh, he was from Germany or something like that. So, well, what did he do that was bad? I mean, you're holding him up as the Satan of the era, and so he's the ultimate in bad. What did he do that was bad? Like he was like a white supremacist, and he was just like he did bad things, and what any example will do. So they don't know. So when you ask them about, well, what is a Nazi, they don't know. Who is Hitler? No idea. Haven't a clue. What is a fascist? What does that mean? Again, not a clue. Haven't got an idea. So when you start talking to them about it, you understand their radicalization is symbolic rather than comprehensive. They don't understand what they're talking about. They have no depth to their understanding, no historical perspective, no actual knowledge, no actual facts. So the radicalization process isn't fact-based or reason-based. It's very much symbol-based. So they've been trained to scream based on the utterance of a symbolic word. And like you can see footage of college kids, the police are trying to say they're blocking a road, so they're trying to move them on, or maybe college authorities are saying, look, you're blocking access to here, not allowing these other people to speak. That's not free speech. Those sorts of things, and you can hear the students screaming, "You're a fascist!" And if they don't get enough traction with that, they'll go, "You're a Nazi!" And then this is the big kill shot. You're Hitler. Now, again, and I've been in the city like Sydney when there've been marches and someone waving a placard, no Hitler's allowed here or something. And you'll ask me, who's Hitler? Well, fuck, I don't know. But I get riled up just using the name Hitler. So the radicalization is, again, very superficial and symbolic. These kids are told, well, those people are stopping utopia, and they're just like Hitler, yeah, Hitler, yeah. And there are these screams in unison. Who the fuck's Hitler? I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't know. I just know that when the word Hitler is mentioned, it means people that do bad things, and that we have to kill them or deplatform or make sure they've got no voice, or have them as outcasts from society. So how is this kid radicalized? Was it that superficial? Child, hey, psst, kid, come over here. Psst. See that Charlie Kirk guy? Well, he's Hitler. Oh, he's Hitler. Oh, well, I have to kill him then. I mean, but how does someone get from that state? This is, again, not the raw material in terms of social circumstances and whatnot that you would expect or anticipate. Now, maybe the guy's got a low IQ or something. He doesn't look like a genius in the mugshots, but assuming he could plan and carry out that assassination means that unless you got a lot of help, and that's again something that's hopefully going to come out. But was he operating independently? I wouldn't have thought so. But were there those who were attempting to radicalize? I mean, realized or sensed the possibility, well, here's a bit of raw. We can use this guy to go kill somebody. Let's radicalize him. And now I've come across people in the workplace who, not radicalizing with assassination, but how that they'll pick someone who they think is psychologically open, or they can manipulate them psychologically, and then set them up to do certain things, to spread rumors or information, to do something so that guy there, he's a really bad guy. We got to get rid of him, and you have to fire him, and you could do that type of thing. And so this is really not dissimilar in a lot of ways to that, setting someone up, psychologically priming them and ginning them up to go and commit an act. Even so, it's fire someone or spread rumors, that's one thing. To actually go and kill someone and plan the killing, which is a premeditated act requiring a number of steps, what would drive someone to that? How would we get to that? And that's really, I'm hoping that sort of thing will come out in the investigations and the analysis. And I don't want some half-assed bullshit analysis. He had a buddy in Antifa. That doesn't cut it. The level of radicalization required, which numbs all his senses, the killer, or the alleged killer, numbs all his senses so that he would go and commit such an act. That requires a lot of radicalization and desensitization. Not just you're breaking the law, but you're really killing Hitler. You're doing something wonderful, and you're saving humanity, or that sort of thing. And there are people out there that can be used for that. Was he one of them? Who was doing the radicalizing? Where was the forces and influences of radicalization coming from? I suspect they'd be coming from a number of sources. Did the guy just get online, see a few messages online? You know what? I've seen a few messages online. I think I'll go and kill some. No. It's more than that. It's more than that. There was a constant setting up of. Now, maybe the guy had sort of disappointments in his life. I mean, maybe he was, he's 22. He's got for example, I don't know if this is the case, but for example, what else could have driven him to this sort of level of radicalization was that he had no life options as he perceived it. He had no meaningful relationships outside of maybe the immediate family. Maybe he's got no girlfriend or something, or can't get one or something. He seems like a decent enough looking guy. I can't imagine he had a problem in there, but maybe he did. Maybe he couldn't get a job, or maybe the jobs were, sweeping floors or something. Again, he doesn't seem like the sort of kid that'd be caught up in that, but maybe he was. So maybe he perceived his future and his prospects for a future was so bleak and so hopeless and so unpleasant that really anything was kind of better than that. When the sense of futility about the future is so all encompassing and so vast in its totality that you think actually murdering someone is going to be an accomplishment of some sort. And to someone with a life of no accomplishment, again, I'm assuming here, I don't know if that is the case, life of no accomplishment, then maybe they would be particularly susceptible to the sort of radicalization that would lead to committing murder and assassination of a public figure. I can't comprehend it personally, but equally I'm not being radicalized by such form, nor would I be subject or easily influenced by it. But maybe this kid was. Now his family apparently noticed that he was sort of getting more political as time went by, which is hardly surprising as he, senior high school through college and that sort of thing. There are many forces of radicalized teachers, lecturers, other kids at college campus, professional agitators from in the NGOs that work in the colleges. And I would see the dark clammy, grubby hands of NGOs in this kid sort of being radicalized as well. So I think that needs to be looked at. Antifa was mentioned. So the extent of radicalization must have been substantial to get him to this stage, and either he was like a paid assassin or something, or that I can't really abide, but this, that his life and future was so futile that he was then even more prone to, while your life's futile, it's because of those people. They're the ones that are doing it to you. You kill that guy and you've struck a blow against Satan. And that, was he susceptible to that? Again, given the family background, it's unlikely that it was something that straightforward. There's more to it. And I'm hoping this properly is brought out in a thorough investigation of all the issues. You've been with Tassus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.